there's two things I gotta go through, but really quick, I just wanna talk about a big red flag here. Um, in terms of how people interpret the words extreme turbulence. Yeah, like okay, so you're trying to add stakes and stress to your story. I get that. Okay. You have to be very careful on and it might have been extreme turbulence for you. It might have been that way. But there's a possible policy and procedure conflict or a regulatory violation or so. There's a lot of aircraft, at least that I fly, that in the flight manual or POH, there's a limitation on severe or extreme turbulence. Most aircraft flying through known severe or extreme turbulence, it's prohibited on a FAA approved page in the flight manual. Most of them that I know of. It could be wrong for the Technum. I don't know the Technum, but there might be a line in there that could get you here. So it's not to say that you can't say that. It's not to say that you can't say that there was turbulence, but just be careful. Be careful with labeling something which falls under the prohibited operation for the most part. Yeah, yeah. So that I would say it's okay to mention that hey, yeah, it was a pretty bumpy day, because otherwise it looks like this. You were flying through known extreme turbulence and you still proceeded anyway, and you attempted to grease a landing, which you should have probably diverted and went somewhere else. Like, you got to be really careful here with these stories. Okay, so I wouldn't say that this is an absolute no on story. I mean, you did good. You said like, okay, it was right down the runway, and you kind of teed it up for it was right down the runway. Everything was in limits, and although it was strong winds, but you know, if you exceeded a crosswind limitation, you knew it, and you attempted to do it anyway. This is a machoism, hazardous attitude that we're all trying to screen out of our company, right? Like we don't want those pilots working for us, although they're the best ones, right? The guys that can do it in the test pilot zone, those guys are fantastic pilots because they did something which the FAA prohibits. But that doesn't necessarily, we want them in our category, our transport category businesses. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be really careful here. So if you're going to say there's heavy turbulence, say, yeah, even the heavies were saying like there was moderate turbulence, and we had to hold for 45 minutes. And I must say it was pretty bumpy. Yeah, but you're not labeling it in a prohibited state. You're not putting yourself on a labeled prohibited state of flight, right? So just be careful there. So let me ask you a question then. Now that the story is over, my question to you was, tell me a time where you had to go above and beyond the job description to solve a bunch of problems to get an airplane from A to B that is otherwise not in your normal expected job description. So what are all the things that you did that normal pilots could have just waved the white flag and gone somewhere else, right? Like, what is it that you're selling me that's so good about your thought process, your ADM, your your customer service? Like, what is it that you're selling in this story? Do you know? So you're selling your dexterity on a crosswind bumpy landing on a wet runway. That's the skill you're selling inside the story.